Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Манай нэвтрүүлгүүд олон хэлээр гардаг. Зочлох хаяг suprememastertv.com/schedule.
He devoted his life to being a philosopher. Fittingly, the word philosopher literally means lover of wisdom in Greek. Socrates, vegetarian, the influential father of Western philosophy. Continue watching to find out more.
Beloved viewers, if you visit the picturesque Greek island of Corfu, you will hear the expression yasu. That is how the locals say hello in Greek. I am Kostas. The harmonious people of Corfu welcome your company and wish you an abundance of prosperity and eternal bliss. Welcome to Socrates, vegetarian, the influential father of Western philosophy.
I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Socrates.
Venerated enlightened master Socrates was one of the greatest ancient Greek philosophers. He showed how discussion and debate could help people understand difficult issues that were superficially political, but deep down were moral questions about the meaning of life and goodness. One of his famous pupils was the venerated enlightened master and philosopher Plato. The son of a sculptor and a midwife, Socrates was born in Athens, Greece in 470 BC. Young Socrates used to go to the studio with his father, where he learned to make stone sculptures. From a young age, he would always ask questions and talk to anyone with interesting ideas. Ancient Greeks were very interested in knowledge and learning, and Socrates studied drama, science, mathematics, astronomy, and geometry. Throughout his education, he enjoyed debating with his teachers and questioning what was right and wrong. At around the age of 17 years, Socrates met the philosopher Archelaus, who many believed had a great influence on his passion for philosophy. Socrates viewed the divine as always benevolent, truthful, rational, and wise. This conception differed from the prevailing conceptions of his time. In ancient Athens, prayer and sacrifice were important rituals done out of fear and for the sake of material rewards. However, Socrates perceived that the gods are all good and wished to benefit human beings regardless of any offerings or sacrifices. After his father's passing, Socrates gave up his job as a sculptor to become a teacher and reformer. He would wander the streets and marketplace of Athens, questioning and debating issues with anyone who was interested. Young scholars in Athens began to follow Socrates to have philosophical discussions, and he acquired a following of rich young aristocrats. He encouraged his students to learn by asking questions, debating and finding logical conclusion. Socrates wanted to inspire others to think and reason. Instead of giving lectures and offering answers to questions, Socrates preferred to pose more questions to his students and discuss possible answers together. He would never accept money for his teaching or speeches. Socrates devoted his life to being a philosopher. Fittingly, the word philosopher literally means lover of wisdom in Greek. There are no records of any written works of Socrates. Two famous historical sources of information on Socrates' life are Xenophon and Plato. Xenophon's perception of Socrates was that of a practical and helpful advisor. He said of Socrates, "I was never acquainted with anyone who took greater care to find out what each of his companions knew." Plato was Socrates' most well-known disciple and was born to one of the wealthiest and politically influential families in Athens. He enjoyed listening to Socrates interrogate other influential philosophers in the city. They would debate ethics and current political issues in the city. Socrates was unlike many philosophers of his time because he focused on ethics and human behavior rather than on the physical world. He taught that happiness comes from leading a moral life rather than through material possessions. He also encouraged people to pursue goodness and justice rather than power and wealth. Socrates' method of teaching became known as the Socratic method. The Socratic method involves posing a series of questions to help a person or group determine for themselves their core beliefs and the extent of their knowledge. It was designed to force an individual to examine their own views and the validity of such beliefs. The goal of the Socratic method is to gain understanding through concepts that are certain and to help individuals achieve genuine self-knowledge. Socrates taught a firm foundation for the structure of theoretical knowledge, as well as moral principles and the science of human behavior. A man who can define justice is just. A person who has theoretical insight into the principles of conduct is excellent in moral conduct. To this day, the Socratic method is considered the foundation of critical thinking and helps to develop the skill of thinking outside the box. It is still used worldwide in law schools and classrooms as a way of discussing complex topics to expose the underlying issues in both the speaker and the subject. Let's take a moment to give thanks to the divine for this beautiful and glorious planet. We'll be right back here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to Socrates, vegetarian, the influential father of Western philosophy. Although many ancient Greeks considered him to be very wise, Socrates himself felt that he knew very little because in reality there was so much to know. He would say, "I know that I know nothing." Socrates is perhaps most famous for Socratic ignorance, also called simple ignorance, which is the awareness of one's own absence of knowledge. Double ignorance is thinking that one knows while not being aware of one's ignorance. Socrates became unpopular for showing many influential figures in Athens that they did not know what they thought they did. Socrates had strong convictions about what makes an ethical life. He believed that it is never right to harm anyone, whether enemy or friend. Although he did not offer a systematic account of the nature of justice, his insistence on the repeated inquiry refined his convictions. Socrates strongly believed in the immortality of the soul. He emphasized that a human being must care for his soul more than his wealth, reputation, and body. He believed that his mission was to check his fellow citizens and persuade them to pay attention to the health of their souls. He thought that the soul is far more precious than the body or material goods. He taught that wealth does not bring about human excellence or virtue, but virtue makes wealth and goodness. Socrates also believed that his mission of caring for souls extended to the city of Athens as a whole. He stated that he was given to the city as a gift from the divine to help improve it. Socrates notably declared that no one makes mistakes knowingly. When a person does what is wrong, it is due to their own ignorance about what is right. Socrates believed that people only did wrong when the perceived benefits seemed to outweigh the costs. The development of personal ethics is a matter of mastering the art of measurement. In 399 BC, Socrates was accused of impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens. Socrates refused to abandon his pursuit of the truth in all matters, even after he was convicted and sentenced to death by a jury. Declining to commit to silence, he maintained that public discussion of the issues of life and virtue is a necessary part of any meaningful human life. Socrates chose to honor his devotion to truth and integrity, even though it cost him his life. In 1995, Supreme Master Chinhai spoke of how Socrates, ever dedicated to his divine mission of sharing truth, wisdom, and spiritual cultivation, spent his last moments with his disciples.
然后连西方啊 ，Socrates 有没有？他连死那天呐、啊，他也不让他的金鸡的那个太太小孩怎么进来。死那天呐、啊，他被立那个喝毒药嘛。那个政府那个时候气度他，说他传什么魔教了，然后逼他喝毒药，逼他喝毒药死。那天呢，他死的时候，只有徒弟他让在里面了，别的让人看一看，然后他会赶出去。 太太啊、儿子那些都赶出去，亲戚啊、朋友全部赶出去，只有留那几个大弟子。自古以来啊，任何的成名的那位开悟的那老师啊，都会跟徒弟混在一起的。他们很小很小，跟家庭有什么关系？我看任何历史都这样。
According to Plato, on his last day, Socrates appeared happy in manner and words as he died nobly and without fear. The venerated master Socrates was certainly unique among the philosophers of his time, and nearly every school of ancient Greek and Roman philosophy longed to claim him as one of their own. Socrates' passion for questions and definitions inspired centuries of development of systematic ethics and formal logic. In tribute to Socrates, Plato described him as a man, I think, who was, of all men of his time, the wisest and best and most just. Even today, 2,500 years later, Socrates is remembered as one of the greatest teachers of all time. It's been a pleasure, gracious viewers, to have your wonderful company today. Coming up next is A Gift of Love, simple and nutritious cooking with Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, biscotti with vegan spread, sweet and sour cucumber, deep fried seaweed with white rice and sesame. Part 1 of 2, right after noteworthy news here on Supreme Master Television. May your days be filled with heavenly bliss and upliftment.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/LS.